So right about now is when we start playing the how many people are going to walk past me in the middle of this public park game. It's a very popular game. There's a reason why I'm here, actually. It didn't work out too terribly well yesterday when I went to go shoot a video because it looked fantastic. I waited about a half an hour because I was eating, and then I went out. About 10 minutes after I started going out, it started to rain and looked even worse, so I was depressed and drove around for a while and I was like, I guess I gotta give up. Later that day, I was thinking, maybe there's a video in this, and a lot of people don't realize that you can actually take some pretty nice pictures even in overcast, I don't know what that means, overcast type sky area things. Yeah. I think that scared them, actually. The great thing about overcast skies is that it promotes very even light. And if the sun wasn't being a bitch right now and coming out of the tiny little hole other than the otherwise cloud-ridden sky, you would see that it was very even lighting. It's actually probably not too bad other than pretty harsh in my face, but everything is pretty well lit, and that works out really well for especially for things like macro, if you're going to be taking pictures of flowers like maybe these. Yeah, sorry, there's not that great a selection of flowers here. Alright, since the sun is it's not cooperating with me very well, let's move this somewhere else. As you can see right now, the sun is blaring on my face, and that means, well, not very good pictures. You're gonna be squinting, there's gonna be shadows cast everywhere. It's just not very good. Now, obviously in an overcast sky, you're not gonna get something like that. It'll probably look something more like this. Now, you'll see an asshole duck, but you might also be able to see a little bit of blue there, so it's not entirely overcast. Fuck you too. But work with me here. So that's a great thing. I can't work with these ducks. So that's one good thing about overcast skies. It's also good, not just for macro, but for portrait shots as well, because then you don't need to have a reflector to try and even out the lighting on your model's face. Now you might want to try to use some kind of lighting to just maybe liven it up because everything gets a little darker. You know, the sky is very dark and your model is going to just look very flat. But as you can see behind me, goddamn ducks, but as you can see behind me, overcast, there is a little bit of blue. It's got clouds, albeit very huge and all over the place, look very nice. But if you're looking for really nice cloud pictures, there is one easy way to be able to. Now, if you want to take really nice pictures on a day like this, there's one pretty simple technique that you can use to alleviate that, or at least some of the goddamn fucking ducks. Yeah. So anyway, you can use sort of a pseudo-HDR kind of effect. You can combine 3 or more different exposures and create an image that's better lit for both the sky and the ground, or in this case, the pond. Now here we have 2 pictures of the exact same scene. This picture here, the ground is pretty well lit, but the sky is a bit overexposed. But then if we look down here, this the other picture in this layer, There is the sky, which looks much more appropriate, but the ground and pond and everything is a bit too dark. So how do we fix this? You could, if you were shooting this prior to taking these pictures, you could have used a neutral density filter. Graduated neutral, a graduated neutral density filter. But if you didn't have one of those, or you're using a point and shoot or something like that, then I'm going to show you how to do it in Photoshop or some other photo editing program. Now Photoshop does have a HDR merging tool thing, which you could use if you wanted to do that, if you wanted an HDR look. Or you could also just do something like this, go add both of the images into their own separate layers in the same image, and then go over here to overlay, and bam, you got what looks like an HDR looking shot. Now, I'm not a big fan of this, everything's still pretty dark and all that stuff, very high contrasty, but you know, you go in here and adjust the contrast, the brightness, all that stuff, but I'm going to show you a different way to do it. And I messed that up. Alright, so what we want to do is take the brightness of this ground here, obviously with the correct exposure of the sky, and mix them together. So you can use whatever you want. I use the paint brush tool, and you could just use a marquee tool and select the sky, but I like to go into the mask layer using the paintbrush. Dun, dun, dun. Sure. Okay, so we got a rough selection of the sky here now. I'm gonna go out of the mask selection. It's like, hey, we just selected blah blah blah. Now what you want to do with this selection here, you want to go down here to the add layer mask tool, and bam, you see what it just did there. If you can't, I will go back and I will show you. This is what the image looked like here. This is what the image underneath was. Now I'll show you when you added the layer mask, it essentially just brings the two correct exposures together and you get something like this. And now you might want to mess around a little bit more with like saturation or the levels or something like that. But that's really up to you. You know, fine-tune your little image to however you'd like it to look, but that's the basic gist. Ta-da! So hopefully you learned some kind of lesson from this video, and I apologize for all the ducks and the wind. Okay, I'm freezing my ass off, so I'm gonna go ahead and go home because I also haven't had lunch yet, and it is 3:30, so I'm also fucking starving. Peace out. It's such a nice day out. I think I should go out somewhere. Alright, I live here. I hope you enjoyed my little photography Photoshop tutorial thing on Overcast skies. And I'm sorry about all the ducks, wind, and how long the video is. I promise that if I do any more tutorials in the future, it will be much more concise. So, I hope you subscribe by clicking the little subscribe button right there. Like the video, share, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And hope you stay tuned for any other videos I'm going to play in the future. Later.